Good morning, everybody. I'm Nikki Stanzione.
And I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
And this is New Mexico style. And although I have a very personal connection to this, I won't personalize it. I'll just tell you that all eyes were on Sandy last night, and authorities are beginning to assess the damage of Superstorm Sandy. In New York, a 13-foot-high surge of water flooded tunnels, subway stations, and the electrical system that powers Wall Street. 7.5 million residents are without power this morning. And sadly, 17 people have been killed. President Obama has declared part of New York a major disaster area.
Yeah, it is rough up that way. Airlines have canceled about 12,000 flights, and that includes direct flights from Albuquerque to Baltimore and Washington, Dulles. And we're hearing that Sandy will most likely cause between $10 and $20 billion in damage.
So take a look at this, because when you look at this, you can really see the force of the blowing wind. And the entire side of a building basically fell onto the sidewalk below. I actually got a personal account from a friend about this, but I'll leave it to your eyes to see what's really going on. It's just pretty awful.
Right. The winds were certainly whipping. And, you know, this building's second and third stories were completely exposed. And once the bricks fell away, again, completely exposed. Fortunately, the building was evacuated and no injuries were reported from that. But, gosh, that is just crazy to see.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And they're saying it literally like the worst disaster Mother Nature has ever pushed upon us. Clearly, she's not happy, having a little bit of a temper tantrum with the East Coast today. So
yeah, and they're still feeling the effects from the storm system. So Sandy no longer a hurricane now. It did move ashore yesterday, and it brought in that huge storm surge. Storm surge still going to be an issue. It won't be as high as what they saw yesterday, but we're still going to see the effects of that, the wind, and of course, it is affecting such a wide area. Look at that. You have watches and warnings all the way from flood watches in Maine, high wind warnings, blizzard warnings for parts of the Appalachian Mountains, to red flag warnings from the wind and the dry conditions in Florida, and then all the way out to Chicago. You're dealing with the wind, 20 to 25-foot waves on Lake Michigan. So this storm is continuing to bring in the wind, the rain, the snow, terrible weather for today. Today will be another brutal one for a lot of the Northeast and even parts of the Midwest before it finally starts to move on out of here. We'll continue to see impacts across much of the Northeast and Midwestern part of the country through at least Thursday, and then it will be tapering off from here. But today will be another bad one, just not as bad as what we saw yesterday. So it's going to be a rough one. As for the weather back home, looking good for us. We'll see more sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-60s at noon, topping out today in the mid-70s.
Yes, and let's check in with KRQE News 13 anchor Elizabeth Alvarez, who has the latest on Sandy.
Yes, ladies, good morning. Good morning to you at home. I'm sorry to say, not such a good morning, though, for the East Coast. Superstorm Sandy is leaving a path of destruction along the East Coast, from flooding to now snow. New images of the storm's wrath are just incredible. Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader has more from Delaware.
The rain here in the mid-Atlantic area has become somewhat intermittent now. Sandy, meantime, has moved inland and become a different kind of storm.
The center of Sandy screamed ashore in New Jersey, but the impact spanned for hundreds of miles. In New York City, landfall was near the worst possible time, high tide. Early reports show flooded subways and streets, millions now without power. The skyline went dark. One hospital was evacuated. Some residents left in just the nick of time.
Old people that don't want to leave their home. I'll stay here, no matter what. I'll stay. I said, Mom, I'm carrying you out of here if I have to.
Off the coast of North Carolina, the Coast Guard rescued crew members of the tall ship HMS Bounty, which foundered in heavy seas. One person later died, the captain still missing. Others who were in Sandy's path may simply have to wait for conditions to improve.
By now, a lot of people have heeded the evacuation orders. Places like this just seem deserted. On the other hand, a lot of people have been through big storms recently, like Hurricane Irene last year. So you run into sentiments like this. Irene was easy. Bring on Sandy.
And forget the rain and tidal surge for a moment. It's snow that's already hitting West Virginia. Blizzard conditions expected. And as far west as Chicago, emergency planners are bracing for their own challenges.
Lake winds are going to be 50 to 60 miles per hour. Waves could exceed the 24-foot mark.
Now, people may start returning home in some of these areas as early as today, but there is still a long cleanup ahead. In Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Now, dozens of PNM employees are on their way to the East Coast to help out with the massive power outages going on there. Around 40 workers and 22 work trucks left Albuquerque yesterday afternoon. They are making a 1,900-mile trip to Maryland. They should be arriving sometime on Thursday. We should also find out later today if New Mexico's urban search and rescue team will also head to the East Coast. We'll keep you posted. In other news this morning, dozens of parents will have to find a new place to take their kids to preschool today. The state has shut one preschool center down. CYFD workers suspended the license for the Peppermint Stick Preschool on Jefferson near Lomas yesterday afternoon. Its director, Dermot Newman, is charged with raping a 3-year-old. Despite that, a lot of parents are standing by this director.
My younger son is disabled. He's been here since he was 2 years old. He's going on 8. And, you know, I've never seen anything negative from Mr. Newman, his wife, or anybody that works here.
I have to be careful for them. They don't understand. They don't understand why they can't come to school, and they can't understand why they can't see their teachers.
Newman and his wife have run the daycare center for 33 years. It can open back up again if it finds an interim director. On to politics now. While it's clear who the frontrunners are in the presidential and congressional races in New Mexico, the battle for control of the Roundhouse is still up in the air. For the first time in decades, Republicans have a good chance to take the House. News 13's Katie Kim has that story.
All eyes are on next Tuesday, Election Day.
We got a lot at stake.
Namely in who controls the Roundhouse, according to UNM political science professor Gabe Sanchez. In the Senate, Democrats have a 28-14 majority. They're not in danger there. But the House is a much different story, where Dems only outnumber Republicans 36-33, with one independent caught in the middle.
I'm looking at maybe 5, 6, 7 races that are really up for grabs.
From a seat in Los Alamos to one in Las Cruces, those few races could be game changers. Races like in Albuquerque's North Valley, firefighter Emily Kane, a Democrat, faces Republican attorney Chris Salcedo in a contest heavily targeted by Governor Susana Martinez and her political team.
Gave Kane a key appointment illegally.
The governor has been very effective at really raising a lot of outside money and targeting a handful of places where they think they can pick up some seats.
6 House districts are split down the middle, where neither party holds a distinct advantage in registered voters. 5 of the 6 are currently held by Republicans. The GOP is desperately trying to hold those seats and then some to give the governor a big win.
That would give her a lot of ability to really enact her policy agenda. So that's what's at stake.
Katie Kim, KRQE News 13.
The governor is also targeting one independent rep who faces a Democrat and Republican in the election. We're talking about Andy Nunez of Hatch. Even though he has backed the governor's education bills and her repeal of driver's licenses for illegal immigrants, the governor's team wants him out. They're sending out mailers attacking him for his yes vote to repeal the death penalty. A Santa Fe City Council member wants to develop a healthy zone. Listen to this. Carmichael Dominguez wants an area near Airport Road in the southwest part of the city to be known as a healthy zone. It's basically an area with no drive-through restaurants and that has strict rules about alcohol. And his plan would establish guidelines aimed at making the spot more attractive and walkable. The city council will have to talk about this and come to an agreement, though, and they're set to take up the issue in January. All right, and then this next story is just rotten. Listen to this. Rio Rancho police are looking for a Grinch who stole a Toys for Tots donation box. Take a good look at this picture. Cops say this guy distracted an employee at the UPS store on Rio Rancho Boulevard last week and just grabbed the donation box at the checkout counter. It had about $80 in it. Crime Stoppers wants you to give them a call if you know who this guy is so they can get that donation box back and maybe even charge him with a crime. And that wraps it up for your Tuesday morning. Be sure to catch Matt, Kristen, and myself every weekday morning on KRQE News 13 beginning at 4:30 a.m. Ladies, I'm going to send it back to you on this Tuesday morning.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Gosh, so much going on. Unfortunately for us here, life goes on as normal, you know, and I know that it's like there's so many kids getting excited about Halloween and so many things going on. And what you'll really be surprised about is that today is actually something you probably don't hear a lot about. It's called Create a Great Funeral Day, a little unusual holiday founded about 10 years ago, and that's to take the guesswork out of your funeral planning.
All right, the holiday is meant to inspire loved ones to sit down together and talk about their funeral send-off.
And the woman who puts the fun in funeral, Gail Rubin, will actually be joining us with these details. She's actually going to teach us today how to build a Day of the Dead shrine. So, you know, you don't see that a lot, but we'll get a first-hand lessen. So I'm kind of
Very
excited about that.
interesting.
Hey, listen. It's inevitable, right? I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. So, and another of our guests today, Andrea Mays, is going to, is it Mize or Mays? Mize or Mays? Andrea is going to suggest a few classic thrillers because she wants to scare up a little fun on Halloween. And I mean, when you think about Halloween, you do, it's the one time you kind of want to get scared, I think. And
Right.
did you know that watching scary movies can actually, this is my favorite thing, can actually burn calories?
All
I swear
that
to God.
fright and adrenaline pumping, I would imagine. It's a release of fast-acting adrenaline. It produces, it's produced during short bursts of intense stress or fear, and so it increases your metabolic rate and ultimately burns a higher level of calories because your heart's beating more.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna like break it down for you because I think that'll make it more fun for you. You're going to burn the most calories. That's 184, as you can see watching The Shining. By the way, red rum, horribly scary, frightening.
The whole movie's creepy.
Yeah, now that's followed by Jaws. That's another one. 161 calories. The Exorcist, especially that spider walk part, yicky, at 158. Then there's Alien at 152 and Saw, which I have never seen and I never will, at 133.
Right. I've only seen two of them. I've seen The Shining and Jaws, and that's it. And The Shining was enough for me. But The Exorcist, I would have imagined it'd be, I guess it depends on the person. Whatever frightens you the most, that's where you're going to burn your most calories.
Whatever really freaks your freak, yeah. The Exorcist freaks my freak the most, I think.
I don't even want to watch that movie. Okay. So other calorie-burning films include A Nightmare on Elm Street, Paranormal Activity, one of the newer ones, The Blair Witch Project, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's scary, but
anything's going to scare you.
This is the only thing I think that may have ever said to me, like, I'm going to motivate you to watch a scary movie, is to think that I could lose weight in the process. That sounds pretty
And
cool.
you know what else is motivating? If
What?
you have a nice date.
Oh yeah, because then you have some reason to
snuggle up
hug and
with.
snuggle. That's a
Yeah.
good point. Okay, so cuddling and calorie burning for scary movies. It's
There
a
you go.
win-win. Now, a desperate housewife is actually coming to New Mexico to film a movie. I'm a big fan of hers, Eva Longoria, and Ed Harris began shooting Frontera next. They're actually going to begin shooting it next month, and that's going to be right here in the Duke City.
The movie is about a sheriff's wife killed in a robbery by a Mexican man that has illegally crossed into the United States. The production will employ at least 95 crew members and 40 talent from New Mexico. So actors, 40 actors.
Yeah, we'd love to see people getting
Yeah.
employed in the movie business right here. And I love both of them, Eva and Ed, so that's going to be really fun. And of course, another fan I am of Mr. Johnny Depp.
of course.
Actor Johnny Depp has given $25,000 to the Navajo Nation. How amazing is that? He recently, just as you know, wrapped up filming The Lone Ranger right here in New Mexico, where he played the character Tonto.
Right, and according to the Native News Network, President Ben Shelley accepted the donation, which will pay for scholarships. The Lone Ranger is scheduled to be released in June. We've seen the trailer. We previewed the trailer for you guys, and it looks incredible, amazing.
It really
Johnny
does.
Depp just doing more and more.
Well, he's so brilliant at taking a role that many people may kind of already have a preconceived notion of how they should look or act, and he makes it his own, and no one can ever be like him, so I can't wait. Now, on another note, Angel Fire Resort has started up the snow guns to get a jump on the ski season. I know you're happy about that.
Oh, of course. Angel Fire Resort is set to open December 14th, unless this week, kind of, sort of El Nino that we're in brings in a little more snow before then.
Will it?
Hopefully. Right now, it's not looking good. The weather pattern not looking very good for us, but hopefully it'll change. It's been kind of fluctuating. The ocean waters is how we monitor El Nino. They've been kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down. So hopefully we can get into that transition to El Nino a little stronger than what we're seeing right now, and that would definitely help things out.
Well, you know, so obviously everybody's talking about, I mean, every national network, every national cable station, everybody's talking about the big storm on the East Coast, but, you know, it's Halloween week and a lot of people are thinking about trick-or-treating, and they're thinking about their costumes. Is it going to be too cold? Do I need a jacket? What's the deal with us?
Perfect weather. In fact, probably the best weather I've seen for Halloween in a few years here in Albuquerque. 44 degrees. Winds are going to be out, well, right now it's 44 degrees and winds are out of the northwest at 0. So we have calm conditions. The winds will stay light throughout the day. For today, we're talking highs in the mid-70s, westerly winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and a lot of sunshine, very few clouds around. Highs today around the state, near 80 in the southeast, and we're talking highs in the 60s up to the north. So here's a look at your Halloween forecast for tomorrow. For Albuquerque, we'll be in the mid-70s with temperatures falling through the 60s. By 8 o'clock, 67 degrees. That is not bad at all. The winds will be light, so there's not going to be any issues. In fact, you may be able to forego the jacket altogether if you have that costume out and ready to go for tomorrow. And the kids, too, will be super happy about that. They never like covering up their costumes, you know. So it's looking good for us. Highs in the low 70s all week long, and then we finally cool things off towards the end of the week with highs back in the 60s on Sunday, and then Monday back into the 60s too. Overnight lows mainly in the low 40s. The valley location is getting a little cooler, down to the 30s.